First story. I took away my son's inherited car and canceled his college fund as punishment after he refused to sell the stupid car and give the money to his sisters and cousins. I thought I was teaching my son about fairness, but now everything has fallen apart, and I'm regretting my actions. My dad passed away in December. He was 69 and had been in and out of hospitals for the last couple of years. It wasn't exactly a shock, but it still hit all of us hard. He wasn't a perfect man, definitely old school, stubborn, and at times pretty unapologetic about playing favorites, but he was my dad, and losing him left a gap in our family. The main issue started after we read the will, but honestly, the signs of trouble were already there. Growing up, my dad always had this very clear line between boy things and girl things. I'm 45 now, and I saw it even when I was a kid, the way he treated my male cousins versus me and my sister. He wasn't cruel, but he gave them way more attention. I think my sister still carries some bitterness over that, and she's not entirely wrong too. Fast forward to our kids, I've got 3. 2 girls 15 and 12 and a son 17. My sister has 2 daughters 16 and 14. Dad didn't even try to hide that he had a soft spot for my son. They were close in a way he never really allowed himself to be with the girls. They worked on projects together, mainly his old car that he kept in pristine condition since before I was born. That car was his pride. He and my son would spend entire weekends under the hood, cleaning, restoring, tweaking. He even taught him how to drive stick shift in that thing. To be fair, my son genuinely loved spending time with him. It wasn't about the car at first. He really admired my dad, which made this whole situation harder. Anyway, the will gets read, and here's the breakdown. All 5 grandkids get $4,000 each, but my son, the only grandson, is gifted the car outright. No clauses, no stipulations. Just, to my grandson, I leave my car. No one knew it was coming, not even me. The car is appraised at around $70,000, so my kid walks away with a $70K car, and the other 4 kids get $4K each. My sister lost it, and I get it. She started yelling right there in the lawyer's office. Said it was favoritism from the grave, and that dad was still pitting our kids against each other. She said she always felt like she didn't matter as much to him, and this just proved it. My mom tried to step in and calm things down, but it got heated fast. I kept quiet at the time because I didn't know what to say, but I felt the same way. It felt wrong. It is wrong. The thing is, this didn't come out of nowhere. There's a history here. My sister and I have argued before about how differently Dad treated our kids. When her daughters wanted to help in the garage, he'd give them short, polite answers, and then call my son over instead. My sister tried to talk to him about it once, and he told her, "Some things are just for the boys. That's how I was raised." She was furious, but what could she do? After the will, the issue now is ownership. My son is 17, he legally can't own the car yet, or at least not fully title it in his name, as far as I understand. The car is still at my mom's place. My son wants to pick it up, but I told him we need to figure some things out first. He's upset. Understandably. From his perspective, his grandpa gave him something meaningful, something they bonded over, and now the adults are trying to take it away. He said I'm spitting on grandpa's memory. But here's the thing, I'm not trying to be a villain. I just don't see how this is fair. The car is worth 17 times more than what the other grandkids got. If my dad wanted to do something special for my son, fine. But this is just too much. And now it's tearing our family apart. My sister says if we don't do something, she'll pursue legal action. I don't even know if that's possible. A will is a will, right? But she's threatening to hire a lawyer to contest it on the grounds of undue influence or emotional manipulation, saying my son must have pressured my dad into leaving him the car. That's not true. My dad wasn't someone you could talk into something he didn't want to do, but I don't think she cares. She wants the car sold and the money split 5 ways. I'm not going to lie, I kind of agree. My husband thinks that's a terrible idea and says it would ruin our relationship with our son permanently. She says I'm punishing him for being close to his grandfather, and I'm letting my sister's bitterness run my decision-making. But I keep looking at my daughters and my nieces and wondering how they're supposed to feel watching him drive off in a $70K gift, while they get barely enough for a used laptop. Right now, the car is still sitting in my mom's garage. My son keeps asking when we can go get it. My sister keeps calling me demanding updates. My mom is staying out of it, which honestly feels like the best move anyone's making. I don't know what to do. I haven't taken any real steps yet, but the tension in the house is unbearable. My son won't talk to me. He's never been a disrespectful kid, but the silence is cutting. I've tried sitting down with him a couple times to explain where I'm coming from. He keeps repeating the same thing. It's mine. Grandpa gave it to me. What's eating at me is that he's not even thinking about the impact on his sisters or cousins. I raised him better than that, or at least I thought I did. It's not that I expect him to just hand it over, but I expected at least some empathy. Instead, I get cold silence or short answers. He's not a spoiled kid, but right now he's acting like one. My husband's been staying neutral on the outside, but I know he's mad at me. He said I'm letting guilt over my sister cloud my judgment, and maybe I am. I look back at all the years my dad sidelined her, and how she swallowed it for the sake of keeping peace. And now her kids get brushed aside again in his last act. It's not right. And if I'm being completely honest, there's some guilt on my end too. I didn't speak up earlier when I should have. When my dad told my niece to go inside, while my son helped with the car, I stayed quiet. When he praised my son in front of everyone and acted like the girls weren't even there, I let it slide. And now this inheritance mess is just the final slap in the face to them. I know I can't go back and fix what happened, but I can try to make things more fair now. I've run the numbers. If we sell the car for around $70,000, each grandkid could walk away with close to $18,000 after fees. That could help my niece with her first car, help one of my daughters cover early college costs, or go into savings. Real things that make a difference. But my son won't even consider it. I've told him I'm not making a decision right now, but that if he won't compromise, I'll consider reallocating his college fund to give each grandkid a fairer deal. Not because I want to punish him, but because I can't justify sitting on $70,000 in assets for one kid while the others get scraps. He said if I do that, he's done with me. Word for word. If you take that from me too, I'm done. He's angry, hurt, and probably feels abandoned. I get that. But part of me still thinks he's not seeing the bigger picture, and I don't know if he ever will. My sister, for her part, has escalated. She called me last night again and said if I don't force the sale, she'll go to court and challenge the will. I told her good luck, Dad had the paperwork done by a reputable attorney, and there's no proof of coercion. She said she doesn't care if she wins or not. She just wants to burn the whole damn thing down if that's what it takes to be heard. And I don't blame her. Her daughters already feel like they don't matter. This just confirmed that in writing. Even my older daughter asked me why Grandpa liked her brother more. That stung. What do you even say to that? She's old enough to know what's going on, and she sees it for what it is: favoritism, passed down like an ugly family heirloom. I feel like I'm stuck between two impossible choices. Let my son keep the car, knowing it will leave permanent damage with the rest of the family. Or force the sale, destroy what little trust I have left with him, and still risk getting torn apart in court by my sister. Either way, someone gets hurt. Right now, I'm not even looking for legal advice. I've already scheduled a consultation for that. I'm asking more from a moral and ethical standpoint. Would I be the arsehole for pushing my son to sell the car so the inheritance is fair? Would I be wrong to tell him I'll use his college fund to balance things out if he refuses? This has gone beyond money. It's about the message we send, the kind of family we want to be. And I can't tell if I'm trying to fix my dad's legacy or just avoid repeating his mistakes. Ada? Comments. Comment 1. Look, I don't usually jump to YTL lightly, but this is pretty effed up. Your dad was clearly an old-school misogynist who played favorites, and now you're continuing the cycle under the guise of fairness. The car was legally left to your son. Whether or not you think it's fair, that's what your father wanted. You don't get to rewrite a dead man's will to soothe your sister's bruised ego. Threatening to take your son's college fund, which, BTW, you saved because he won't hand over the one thing that has emotional weight for him. That's a betrayal. You're punishing him for being close to his grandfather. His relationship with your dad wasn't his fault. He didn't choose to be the favorite, and now you're telling him to give up a massive piece of that bond to make everyone else feel better. Be a parent. Help your daughters understand the context. Give them extra love and support. But don't crucify your son to make up for your father's mistakes. Comment 2. This is messy, but I'm actually leaning towards now with a giant asterisk. I don't think you're a villain. I think you're a parent in a generational SHT storm, trying not to let the family blow up. It sounds like your dad was a controlling old-school guy who never saw women and girls as equals. The will was just his final mic drop of favoritism. I feel for your sister. She spent her entire life watching her dad undervalue her, and now her daughters get the same message in writing. That hurts. Deeply. But your son isn't the villain either. He's 17. He probably spent more time with your dad than any of the other kids. That car isn't just a car. It's their thing. The one space where he felt seen, taught, and important. And you're threatening to mess with his college fund. That's nuclear. You can't fix a legacy of gender favoritism by punishing the one kid who didn't ask for it. I think your intentions are fair, but your method. You're throwing gas on an already burning house. Mediate. Sit everyone down. See if a compromise is even possible before you start strong-arming your kid. Comment 3. That car is probably the only thing in your son's life that isn't replaceable. You think $18K is going to make those girls feel equal? It won't. It's hush money, and everyone knows it. Your dad was a sexist prick. Let's not sugarcoat that. And yeah, it sucks that the girls got shafted. But selling the car won't fix that. It'll just make sure no one walks away with anything meaningful. You're asking your son to give up something sacred to him, so you don't have to feel uncomfortable around your sister. That's weak. Also, threatening his college fund. Effing wild. You're pissed at your dad for being unfair. But now you're about to be the most unfair person in this kid's life. Want fairness? Be better than your old man. Don't be a legacy of bitterness and retribution. Let the kid have the damn car. Update. I've read through the responses. Some of you were fair. Some of you were brutal. A lot of you are operating under the assumption that I'm punishing my son or trying to rip away something meaningful from him. I want to clarify a few things because the way people are twisting this is way off base. First of all, I did not raise my son to be cold or entitled. He's 17, and until this situation, the idea of cutting anyone off, especially family, had never even crossed his mind. He's been close to us his whole life. We've never had blowouts, he's respectful, and he doesn't act out. That's why his recent behavior is throwing me off so much. The threat of going no contact. That's not him. That's a reaction to the pressure he's under, and this idealized bond with my father that he's trying to protect. My son loved my dad, but that doesn't mean he's above accountability. Yes, my dad gave him that car. Yes, they spent time together working on it. But let's be real, the car was fully restored. It's not like they rebuilt it from a rusty shell. My father had it maintained down to the last screw, detailed every few months, kept it stored inside a sealed garage, and barely drove it after age 60. When my son helped, it was small stuff, polishing chrome, cleaning the upholstery. He didn't rebuild the engine or finance parts. And now he's acting like he earned a $70,000 collector's car just for hanging out in the garage and listening to stories. He got that car fully maintained, road ready, zero mechanical issues, with the title ready to transfer once he turns 18. No cost, no work, no taxes paid by him. He's literally inheriting a luxury and still refuses to consider that it came at the expense of fairness to the other 4 grandkids. I've asked him repeatedly to meet me halfway. I told him to consider selling it, keeping $20,000, and splitting the rest among his sisters and cousins. That would leave everyone feeling like they got something. He said no. He flat out refuses to give up a single dollar. Not only that, but when I brought up that he already has his college fund, he said that's not the same thing. He's now acting like the car is his future, some dream life where he drives it to prom or keeps it for 20 years and passes it on. It's ridiculous. He's 17. The obsession over this car is clouding his judgment. After another argument, I told him that if he's so dead set on keeping it, then maybe I'll keep the car myself and give him $4,000 like the others. If he wants equality, that's equality. I haven't acted on it yet, but I said it to make a point. His response? He said he'd never forgive me. That Grandpa would be ashamed. That's when it really hit me. This isn't about money to him. It's about legacy, and he's clinging to it like it defines who he is. In the meantime, I had a long talk with my mom. She's the one currently keeping the car in her garage, and until now she's stayed neutral. But when I told her I was considering redistributing my son's college fund if he won't compromise, and maybe even keeping the car myself, she flipped. She accused me of trying to rewrite history, and said I was throwing away what little piece was left in the family. She told me that she's standing by my dad's wishes, even if she doesn't agree with how uneven they were. But I asked her, what's more important, honoring a flawed man's will or keeping this family from breaking apart? She didn't have an answer. I also told her I've started considering asking her to update her will and leave more to my daughters and nieces to correct the imbalance. That way, when her time comes, hopefully many years from now, at least the girls will get something that reflects their worth. She said she'd think about it, but warned me that if I try to guilt her into it, she'll leave everything to a damn dog rescue out of spite. So yeah, things aren't great. My husband has tried to stay out of the crossfire, but after my conversation with our son about the car and college fund, he sat me down. He said I'm going too far. That the car is a symbol, and taking it or threatening to is pushing our son into a corner. He believes our son will eventually come around, that he's just emotional right now, and that forcing this issue will backfire long term. He doesn't agree with how my dad handled things either, but he said, "That man's gone. Don't make your son pay for his sins." That pissed me off, honestly. Because that's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to prevent 4 other kids from spending the rest of their lives knowing they were second best. But no one seems to care about that part. As it stands, my son refuses to budge. He says the car stays with him. End of discussion. He won't sell it, won't trade it, and won't share it. And every time I bring it up, the gap between us grows. He barely eats dinner with us now. He spends most of his time at my brother-in-law's shop. I know he's avoiding me. So now, I'm stuck. I have a 17-year-old sitting on a collector's item worth $70K, gifted entirely by favoritism. I have 2 daughters who already feel less than, and 2 nieces whose mother is threatening to go full legal scorched earth. My mother is watching from the sidelines, prioritizing a dead man's wishes over the living. My husband thinks I'm delusional, and I'm the only one trying to do something that looks remotely like justice. But everyone's telling me to just shut up and let it go. Well, I'm not there yet. I'm still weighing options. But I refuse to let this go down in family history as the time Grandpa gave everything to the boy and left the girls with pennies. My daughters will not carry that message into adulthood. Whether or not my son realizes it, this isn't about robbing him. It's about protecting the rest. I don't know where we go from here, but this isn't over. Update. I've made my decision. After months of tension, arguments, and silence, I acted on what I still believe was the most ethical and balanced solution for all the grandkids, even if I've been branded the arsehole for it. To those who said I would ruin my relationship with my son, I never believed he'd go that far. I didn't raise him to be the kind of person who just walks away from family because he didn't get his way. But I underestimated how deep his attachment to the car ran, and how much he equated it with his identity and his bond with my father. The car is currently in my name. Legally, I could do that since he's still a minor, and the asset hadn't been officially transferred. After another failed conversation where he refused to consider selling, trading, or even temporarily sharing access to the vehicle, I went to the DMV and secured the title with my name listed as legal owner until his 18th birthday. Then I sat him down and handed him a $4,000 check. I told him, "This is what your cousins and sisters got. This is your equal share. The car stays with me." He didn't say anything at first. He just stared at me. Then he got up, walked out, and didn't come home that night. My husband found him at a friend's house. He hasn't stayed in this house since. He's still 17 but staying with extended family and couch surfing until he turns 18 next month. He told my husband, not me, that he plans to fight for legal ownership of the car as soon as he's of age. He said if I've transferred the title to myself to play games, he'll see me in court. Meanwhile, I had another conversation with my mother about her own will. I asked her to adjust the amounts left to each grandchild, not to exclude my son, but to bring balance to what he's already received. I asked her to leave him a basic share and give the rest to the girls. I expected her to understand. Instead, she accused me of turning my back on my son, said I was letting resentment control me, and told me flat out that if I keep meddling, she'll rewrite the will and leave me nothing. Her words: "You're obsessed with making everything equal, but you're the one dividing this family." Despite that, I couldn't let it go. So my sister and I tried something else. We attempted to file a formal motion to challenge my father's original, while claiming gender bias in the distribution of assets. I consulted an attorney, spent several $1,000s prepping documents and affidavits, and filed for probate review. It was dismissed in less than 2 weeks. The judge said it was unsubstantiated, emotionally motivated, and lacked legal merit. In short, a waste of time and money. When my son heard about the court filing, he texted me exactly 4 words: "We're done. I'm out." I haven't heard from him since. His 18th birthday is coming up. I assume he'll follow through on his plan to pursue the title. I haven't touched the car, it's still locked in my mom's garage. But I no longer trust that we'll ever have a civil conversation about it again. My daughters have started asking more pointed questions, not about the car, but about him. My 15-year-old told me last week, "I miss my brother. It feels like you picked a fight with him over a car and forgot he was your son." That cut deep. I thought she'd understand. I thought she'd feel validated, protected, that she'd see me standing up for her and her sister's worth. Instead, she sees a broken home. My youngest just asked when he's coming back. I had no answer. They're not angry about the money. They're hurt by the fallout. The tension. The silence. The way their brother doesn't come to family dinners anymore. They see their father upset. They see me stressed and defensive. Whatever point I thought I was making about fairness, it's lost on them. And to be clear, they don't think he should have gotten the car. They do think it was unfair. But not unfair enough to justify the war I launched over it. Not enough to lose their brother. My husband won't talk about it anymore. He told me he doesn't agree with how I handled it, but he's not going to fight me over it. He's focused on repairing things with our son in his own way. I feel like I'm watching my family fracture while standing on a hill I chose to die on. Comments. Comment 1. You really thought you were the good guy in this? You played judge, jury, and executioner over a car that was never yours to begin with. Your son didn't win the lottery. He got something emotionally tied to his grandfather, who clearly loved him and shared time with him that he didn't with the others. That's not your son's fault. You went behind his back, stole the car, cashed him out like a damn casino token, tried to weaponize your own mother's will, and sued over a dead man's wishes, and then you're shocked that your kid walked away. Let's be clear. Your daughters aren't better off. You didn't make anything fair. All you did was torch their relationship with their brother, and show them what happens when someone in the family gets more than what you deem equal. They're not comforted. They're in mourning too, mourning the loss of the sibling they had. You didn't level the field. You salted it. Comment 2. Your story reeks of, I didn't get what I wanted from my dad, so now no one gets anything nice. That car wasn't about cash value, it was a effing connection. Your son didn't earn it, sure. But he loved your dad. They built something together, memories, shared interests. He was handed down something tangible from that bond. And you decided that was a threat to your other kids. You spent thousands trying to nuke your dead dad's will, threw your son's college fund in the fire, and then stood there shocked Pikachu style when your kid said, F this, I'm out. Your daughters. They're just trying to figure out why mom set the house on fire over a car they never asked for. You didn't protect them, you dragged them through the mud. And now they don't have a brother anymore. That's your legacy. Own it. Second story. My mom banned me from going on vacation, so I vented to my friend, and my entitled friend called me immature and took my mom's side. So I 17M just got my license a couple of months ago, and I was super excited to finally have some freedom and be able to drive places with my friends. One of the big things we had been planning was going to this roller coaster park that's about a 2-hour drive away. When I told my mom about my plans, she said she didn't want me to go. She said it was too far of a drive for someone who's still a new driver. I tried to tell her that it would be good driving experience and something fun and memorable to do before we graduated, but she didn't budge. I was frustrated, but at the same time, I get that she's my mom, and her whole job is to worry about my safety, so I wasn't that mad at her. It was just disappointing that she didn't think I was ready, and that we wouldn't get to have this fun road trip I had planned. Later that night, I messaged my friends. I just let them know that the whole thing was off because my mom said no, and I was basically just venting a little. Most of my friends responded how I expected. Yeah, that sucks, basically. But one of my friends, let's call him Jim, said that we should respect my mom's decision because she just wanted us to be safe. I said it felt like he was taking my mom's side over mine. That's when Jim told me I was acting immature. What made it worse was that my other friends started siding with him and telling me that I need to grow up for being annoyed about this. I told my mom about this conversation I had. I was curious if she thought my friends should side with me on this because they're my friends or with her because they agree with her. Instead of getting where I was coming from, she praised Jim. She said this showed I had good friends, and then added that good friends don't just back you up when you're wrong. That stung way more than her original no. At this point, I'm not even mad at my mom anymore. I get why she said no. Who really bugs me is Jim. I was just venting about how disappointed I was, and he turned around and made me feel like I was in the wrong for even being upset. It feels like both of them ended up on the same side, and I was the odd one out. I keep thinking if the roles were reversed, I wouldn't have done that to him. Am I really the one in the wrong here? Is Jim right and I'm being immature? Or am I justified in being annoyed at how he handled it? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. YTA. You are being immature about it. OP. They were on board with the trip until my mom said she didn't approve. How is that maturity? I shared this post in the group chat, and they renamed it, Jonah's mom is always right. I'm not the only immature one here, Elmao. Commenter 1. Yeah, doubling down is going to help. OP. I've been placed in a no-win situation here. All I wanted was to go on a fun trip. My mum shoots it down. I say I'm disappointed that's how she feels and ask if we should go anyway. My friends turn on me. My crime was being a newly qualified driver and wanting to take advantage of that. Does that really make me a villain? Commenter 2 villain. No. Not realizing that your friends have your back, even if they disagree with you. Yes. Seriously, you have a friend who will go, "Hey, is this a good idea?" instead of going with the flow. That's huge. It shows he actually cares about you and what happens to you. That being said, you're a newly qualified driver, and you want to take a 2-hour road trip to a theme park with friends. Have you ever driven with a bunch of hyped up, excited teenage boys? They're effing distracting. Have you ever driven when you're mentally exhausted? Would not recommend. Have you ever driven when SHT goes sideways? What do you do if you get a flat? You're a brand new driver. Practice driving first before making road trips. Commenter 3. YTA. Yeah, Jim is right. And you're being immature. Take a deep breath and apologize. OP. I just feel like at 17, it's fine to be willing to take risks. I actually find it kind of puzzling that my mum not approving was enough to change his mind. Because earlier, he did want to go on the trip. Commenter 4. It's fine to be willing to take risks. But it's not fine to be willing to risk the lives and safety of all your friends as an inexperienced driver trying to take a long, I assume, highway drive, which you will have to drive everyone home from after a long day when you're tired. For all we know, maybe nothing would happen. But maybe you'd crash. Maybe you and or your friends could get hurt or worse. Everyone takes risks at 17, you're right. But is it worth taking this risk? After some reconsideration, which is normal and happens often, when people hear different perspectives and opinions, it seems your friends are no longer comfortable taking that risk. That's okay. Commenter 5. Info. Is driver's ed really that lacking wherever OP is? Even during lessons we go on the highway here. The route on the exam is decided by raffle, and even that can include highway. If we have 20 hours of official driving lessons, we can drive anywhere in the country by ourselves, as long as the education center signs off that we are qualified. As long as we don't take passengers, so we can keep practicing until our exams. Commenter 6. In Vermont, people under age 18 are only allowed a junior license for the first 6 months. Those have restrictions such as not allowing them to drive for work Uber, delivering pizzas, but also they're legally not allowed to drive with passengers under age 18 for the first 3 months. I did my driver's ed classes in New Hampshire 20 years ago now, and we had an entire 2-hour lesson on the party in your car. The more distractions a driver has simulated by having to sort a deck of cards while listening to music, doing addition problems, and having another classmate try to distract you, the higher the chance of an accident. And the statistics we were given then showed a huge difference between new drivers who drove alone and new drivers who had friends with them. Our driver instructors also gave out personalized lists of things we could pass on the driver's test, but still made them nervous about. I made mine nervous with driving on roads with 3+ lanes each way, lane changes, and traffic. A friend got warned about night driving and driving in bad weather. Another was told their attention started to flag, and they made increasing mistakes after 30 mins behind the wheel. So putting a new driver in a car with several distractions for a long drive, presumably through traffic and lane changes, is asking for trouble. OP might convince his mum still. Options include a dry run. Hey mum, I want to treat you and my younger sibling to the amusement park. If I drive both there and back with you in the car and pay for our day there, will you let me do it again with friends? Where mum has the option to take over driving if she deems OP's behavior unsafe. Changing the date for that amusement park trip to April or May of next year. OP says he's 17 and wants to do this before graduation. Most graduations I'm aware of are in May or June. 6+ months of extra practice and volunteering to drive for longer periods, so she stops worrying. Choosing a closer, fun but less exciting location. The ocean is a 2.5-hour drive from here, but a nice big lake with a beach is 45 mins, etc. Commenter 5. Yeah, I missed that he's 17, but still, if he passed it, it either means he's a good enough driver or exams don't mean much there, right? Here you can take your theoretical at 17 and your classes as well, so you can be ready to take your practical exam when you are 18. When you have your permanent license, you need to go back to retest after about 6 months to make sure everything's stuck, though that's a fairly new rule. I ask because I know not all countries have the same standard on driver's ed, nor regulations about it. Plus, not every country has the same concept of what a long drive entails. Here a lot of people drive over an hour to work, so a 2h drive for fun is rather minor. Though on a low traffic day, it could get you to literally the other side of the country. Hell, I'm 20 minutes to 2h driving away from 4 other countries with current traffic conditions. Commenter 7. Soft YTA. Your friends probably were excited about going, and at first weren't thinking of the laundry list of things that could go wrong with a new driver. Jim probably had a light bulb moment after you mentioned your mum not approving of your plan, where he realized just how unsafe it would be, not only for you, but for every single person that would be in your car. The reality is that you've been driving for a few months, you aren't experienced, and you are in fact acting immature. I understand the frustration on your part completely. It's not fun to have someone back up a parent you're currently upset with. But it's coming off as a little selfish that you're angry at Jim for reconsidering his comfortability and safety. Have you never felt one way about something, then changed your mind after getting more information, hearing a different perspective? Your mum is also right in that real friends won't encourage you to make unsafe choices. I'd apologize to Jim, thank him for caring, and recognize that you have every right to feel upset. But at the end of the day, he's trying to prioritize everyone's safety. Commenter 8. YTA. Your friends behaved maturely, while your reactions were those of a petulant kid. OP. You don't think it's normal to want to have some independence and try new things at 17? Commenter 9. I mean, if you're ranting this much about your mum and friends, maybe at this point your friends realized they didn't want to be in a car with you for 4 hours. Commenter 10. I don't know if times are just changing, or you just have very responsible friends, haha. Back when I was 16 or 17, and one of my parents told me I couldn't drive somewhere, no way in hell would I or any of my friends say, "We should respect your mum's decision, ha 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 ha." We would figure out a way to do it anyway without getting caught. Commenter 11. Even you could see that your mother had a point. So why is it bad that Jim thinks so too? OP. The part that bothered me was the timing, and the way he sided with her. He had been just as excited about the trip as I was, and the moment I mentioned my mum didn't like the idea, he immediately took her side and ended up turning other friends against going. I was asking if we should still go anyway, and that's when he took her side. That made it feel less like he was just agreeing with her, and more like he was actively helping her enforce how she felt about this. Commenter 11. She doesn't need reinforcement. She has her feelings about it all, and she told you that. You agreed with her. Then he agreed with her. Now you're just causing problems. YTA. Update. I've spent the past couple of hours trying to think about what part of this truly bothered me. At first, I thought I was just mad because he sided with my mum. But after really thinking about it, I realized the real issue was that I didn't know how to respond to what he said in the moment. When I was venting, I was expecting the kind of support you usually get from friends when you're frustrated. Even if they don't agree 100%, they just let you blow off steam. But instead, Jim called me immature. That totally caught me off guard, and I didn't have any comeback or way to defend myself. It felt like he had kind of put me in a corner in front of everyone, and that made me even more upset. Another part of why I took it so hard is because, honestly, I really wanted this trip to be something that would bring me closer to everyone. I've always felt like I'm on the edge of the group sometimes, and I thought being the one to drive us on this big adventure would show them I was dependable and fun to be around. So I guess the reason I was so annoyed is because the whole situation made me feel powerless. I couldn't convince my mum to let me go. I couldn't get my friends to see my side. And I couldn't even properly explain why I was upset. It's like I was frustrated on 3 different levels at once. And it all came out as me being mad at Jim. I'm still disappointed the trip didn't happen. But I think the reason I was upset with Jim had more to do with me feeling like I lost control of the situation than with what he actually said. I just didn't know how to deal with that in the moment. I did talk to Jim afterwards, and we managed to clear the air. He said he hadn't meant to make me feel singled out, and he genuinely thought he was just looking out for us. Once we both explained where we were coming from, things felt a lot better, and we're good again. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.